You're harmonizing to a new frequency that is going to take you to unprecedented heights. I'm getting that you're employing a radical level of self acceptance and change that is causing a lot of significant shifts to start happening very rapidly in your life. I'm seeing that you are cutting ties with your past with no remorse, like you don't feel bad about it. And this is something new for you. You often felt like the pieces and parts of others that made you were really important. And now you just see them as parts of your journey. You see them, I'm actually seeing moth imagery, but you see them like a rocket ship. And when the rocket ship's going up, it needs certain, or like a spaceship, I guess. It has the rockets on the side. And when those rockets are done propelling it towards space, they fall away. You're starting to see the gifts and other things that people gave you along the way like that. You're starting to see them as rockets on your ship that helped you get higher up. And you're seeing that by taking your power back, by exerting your control over those rockets to say, okay, bye bye, I don't need you anymore. Thank you, bye. Um, you're going through crazy shifts. And I'm seeing 111 on my timer as I say that. So you're starting a new journey here, and this journey is going to be really beneficial for your health. You guys are a collective that has weak health, and I don't mean that meanly. I just mean that you're very sensitive. You're very susceptible to temperature changes, and you're very susceptible to environmental changes. Like when your environment changes, it causes you to tailspin sometimes because you're so sensitive to the energy of it that even the slightest shifts cause you distress if they're not in alignment for you. Like if someone installs the fluorescent lights at the office, to some people that's not a big deal, but you would definitely notice it and it would definitely bother you. So you're a collective that really needs to watch out for your health. Your health has to be considered first and foremost. Um, a lot of things that were done to you when you were younger were because you were weaker. And because you were viewed as weaker, um, people wanted to make you stronger so you could withstand more. Um, it's not that you couldn't accomplish a lot. It's like a lot was demanded of you. And so your I, your predators is what's coming through, and take that how you will. But the predators around you saw that you were kind of like prey. They saw you were soft and vulnerable. And they thought rather than cherishing your softness, they thought, ah, that's something to take advantage of. Either I will take advantage of it and mold it the way I want it to be shaped, or other people will. So I'll just do it. That will protect them. Like there are people in your life that used you, that were parental figures, mother, father figures, big sister, older brother figures. Um, and they thought they were doing you a kindness, which is so cruel, collective, but neither here nor there. They thought they could make you stronger, but like they thought they could make you stronger and faster, but they just made you weaker in the long run because you were carrying all this baggage that didn't belong to you. And mostly they just wanted you to kind of like not scream when they kicked you. They wanted you to not like break your leg if you fell down. They wanted life to be able to beat on you and you to never show any signs of wear or tear. They wanted you to be this impenetrable, impossible to beat like fortress of a human being. And you can only make so many amalgamations of people, and like you can only add so much to a person without kind of losing the essence of who they are, right? And they become something different. And then forevermore after that, they come to associate that with you. And when you do change, you do let these rockets fall off the side of your ship. As you hurtle upwards into space, they're like, oh, collective, you've changed. You're different, collective. Why are you so different? Why have you changed, collective? And you're like, I didn't like change. Like, this is who I am. Yes, it's a change from what you knew me as, but you made me this way. You made me into what you recognize. Like, that was never me. And like, there's this shift happening within you now where you used to say, I'm not different. I haven't changed. And now what you're saying is, yeah, I've changed. It's because you made me that way. And that wasn't who I am. And now I'm becoming who I am. Like, I'm not becoming you, I'm becoming me. And that's really offensive to some people, collective, like, especially mother or paternal figures that wanted to pattern you after them. They are offended at these shifts. They're like, well, we spent our whole lives making you this way. How ungrateful of you. Like, what an ungrateful child you are to not appreciate our gifts of wisdom and kindness and generosity and money and time and effort. Meanwhile, collective, you're now grown. You're now old enough to say, hey, actually, those gifts that you gave me were not very like useful. And also, you're my parents. You should have done that regardless. Like, There's definitely people who held a lot over you simply because they were in positions of power and authority over you, and then they wielded it like thinking they were better than you, and it's like they were simply older. Like there's so many people in your life collective, it's like they were just simply older. That's all it was. They weren't better than you. They didn't like know more than you per se. It's just they were older. So what they said goes, right? Um yeah, so it's just this really unique time for you collective because you're harmonizing into this frequency that is authentically you. And it's really shocking to a lot of people around you. A lot of people are watching your progress very silently and they just can't believe how you're glowing up. They can't believe the changes you're making. They're like, this is not the same person from 10 years ago. This is not the same person from 5 years ago or 1 year ago, even. Like, you're just a totally different person. And some of them don't know what to think of it. But the message here is to keep going. Um, the message is to keep loving yourself because as you are loving yourself, you're going to find more people around you loving you as well. Um, excuse me. Yeah, sorry, I'm having this like not chest pain, it's like this block sort of feel as I'm channeling into this collective. Like it's right between, it's like, I would say it's like in the higher heart area. It's like between the heart chakra and the throat chakra, kind of in that area. There's definitely a feeling of new love coming in for this collective as well. Again, if you're partnered, this part of the message may not be for you, but for some people here who are not currently partnered at this time, this is something I also channeled recently for the Purple Collective too. So you can watch the most recent channeling for them. If this part is resonating for you, you might find something there too. Um, but yeah, there's definitely a feeling of new love coming in. There's somebody who's going to help support you on your journey or help reflect back aspects of yourself that you have been waiting for. Like you have been waiting for someone to mirror back to you this authentic new version of yourself, and you've kind of not been finding it in most people around you. I see you have some people around you, but like for the most part, it's not enough people. So this person who is being sent in is literally going to find you in such a weird, unique way. Um, and they're going to make you face aspects of yourself that you're not quite ready to face yet. But that's okay. The time is now for you to face them. It's not a matter of being ready, it's just a matter of deciding that you will. Your life collective is going to be one of simply deciding to do things. You're simply going to decide to be a different person. You're simply going to decide to do everything you've ever wanted to do. You're simply going to decide to accept all the love and support that is due to you. You're simply going to decide to be the best version of yourself. And you're actually going to be able to do it. You are one of the extremely rare collectives that I've channeled for that has the like token or the I forget the word for it, but it's like when you attach like kind of a name or like a nickname, like an epitaph or something. Um, epiglot. I can't remember the name. Sorry, guys, but you guys are on new game plus mode. Like you're playing your life game plus mode. So you have finished up all of your big major lessons and you are learning the cool new things that so many people don't get to unlock and access until like the next life or until the very end of their life. You guys are doing that now. So it's really cool. And I get a lot of you in your 30s or 40s. So you're still quite young doing this. Um, what else here? You need I so I actually have like Hermes in this channel. He has a message for some of the people listening to hurry up and get started on the project. You've been what is this phrasing? Hold up. Speaking really fast. He says start on the project you've been finishing for. I maybe that phrasing means something to you guys. Start on the project you've been finishing for. Maybe you've been finishing up a bunch of things and then waiting to start on this new project until you finish those other things. So kind of like just balance, just juggle. You probably have a few projects going at any given time, but start in the project that you have been finishing things for. Oh, I see. You're finishing things for the purpose, yeah, of getting to this new thing. So like let's say you've got like 4 projects you're working on and you want to start the 5th, but you feel embarrassed or ashamed, like, oh, I can't start this fifth project till I finish the others. Like there's something in you that's trying to be very by the book. But the problem is that you're procrastinating actually by doing it this way. By telling yourself that you'll be ready when you hit a certain point, you can just keep pushing it off because your subconscious can assure that that point will never come. Okay. So you just kind of need to get started on it. And even if you're feeling embarrassed or ashamed, like you have too many projects going, just sit with that feeling, work with it, and channel that into the project you're doing. Like, excuse me, be successful out of spite, right? Um, do it just because you can, right? Um, at a certain point, you're gonna hit a spot in your life where you're gonna say, "Damn, if I had waited to do all these projects, I never would have gotten any of them done." I'm seeing a really interesting spiral metaphor for you, collective, that like you have a lot of things that are contingent on making progress on other things. So it's actually like your project board looks like this to me. Imagine you're progressing on a spiral. And so you're at like point A and it's at the top, right? And you want to start project um, B, but you're waiting till you get from point A and then go to the right to point B, and then the bottom point C, and the left point D, right? You're making this complete circle and come back to point A. And you're like, yeah, then the project will be done. But the thing is, collective, like you're actually on like this kind of interesting, like tesseract spiral thing. So as you progress from point A to point B, you unlock the depth that allows you to do project like the next project. But if you wait until you get all the way down, basically until you, if looking at it from the flat surface, if you go from A, then to the right to the B, to the C, to D, right? I hope you're thinking of this circle. I hope this is making sense. It looks like you're kind of in the same plane, but if you turn it sideways and look from the third dimension down, you're actually like 4 levels down now. Does that make sense? Like you've gone, when you go from point A to point B, you descend a level. And on the surface, it looks like you're still on one plane, but from the side, you're actually not. So then you just send another level and another and another. So like you actually have to start projects on top of each other because you won't be in the right state of mind to do it anymore by the time you finish up with the current project, because your projects are very complex and they interlay with each other, collective, in this way that's so unique and so interesting, but not a lot of people understand it. So people who can only see one plane of your existence may say, why do you have 5 projects going? And you don't have the capability yet to like to subconsciously explain it and then consciously explain it to other people. You can't say like, you can't like describe this conch shell of an experience that you live, right, to most people. So you kind of just have to accept them and say like, oh, well, I just, sometimes I'm in the mood for something different. And you give them this really surface level answer, right? Because that's all they can see. If all they can see, collective, is surface level understanding, you can't try to explain to them with the depth of your understanding because they won't get it. So it reminds me actually of this I think it's like a Buddhist doctrine. It's the Lotus Sutra. It's from the Lotus Sutra. Um and it's called the burning house parable. And I love this parable. There's a kid in a house and he's playing with toys, but the house is on fire. So a person comes from outside and they're trying to get the kid out. But the kid doesn't understand they need to leave the house because they're playing with their toys. They don't see the fire. They don't smell the fire yet. Like they think they're fine. But the person knows that that house is on fire, right? So the person lies and says, hey, you have this bright, shiny new toy over here. It's just outside. Come with me. We can play with the new toys. And so the kid's like, oh, okay. And the kid gets up and leaves the burning house. And then the house like collapses down behind them. And then the kid's kind of disappointed because there's no toy outside. But then the kid realizes, oh man, that house I was in, that was really scary. Actually, it was on fire. I had no idea. So it's called the doctrine of expedient means sometimes. It's basically like telling a lie is sometimes the most expedient way to get someone to the truth, and the best way to like save them, if you will, to enlighten them. To help people reach enlightenment, you actually have to lie to them sometimes because they're not able to understand with the urgency necessary the things you're trying to teach them. So you have to translate it into terms they understand. You have to give it to them with things they attach meaning to. This is a lot of how religion works too. Like religion often explains things in this really simplistic way, like, oh, God's watching, don't kill people, you can't go to heaven. And like, on the one hand, yeah, that's like a lie because I mean, war happens and then you're like literally drafting people to kill other people to defend your country. And wouldn't those all like all those people go to hell? But then it's like, no, but it's for their country and you make all these contingencies, right? So it's like there's a lot of things, collective, where you're just not going to be able to tell people, just getting back to the main point, you're not going to be able to tell people why you start and stop projects the way you do and why they take so long and why they change shape and morph. All you can do is just simply say, sometimes the time is right for it and sometimes the time isn't. Sometimes I have the inspiration, sometimes I don't, because it's just so complex how your mind works and how the energies and frequencies overlay and overmix and work. So you just kind of have to leave it at that, right? Um, so I hope all this makes sense. Like sometimes the basic meaning is like this journey you're going on now in this new game plus mode, it's a mode that people won't understand. Sometimes you're going to have to lie or to twist the truth, bend the truth, adjust the truth, convince yourself of truth in a different way, if you will, to explain it to people because they're just not going to get it. They're not going to get your lifestyle. They're not going to get why it seems like you're so relaxed, why it seems like you're not as stressed about certain things, why it seems like you're focused on different things. Like why aren't you chasing money like other people are? You know, like why aren't you grinding away in a typical office job, for instance? Or why do you want to leave your typical office job so that you can start a business or do something else, right? Um, excuse me. You just have to understand, collective, that people won't understand you. So whatever you need to tell them so that they can understand enough to like leave you alone or support you, right? Like to the extent that you're comfortable with, that's kind of what you're being advised to do. Because even if you try and explain your dream to other people, it's not going to really make sense to them. And it's just going to frustrate you. It's going to exhaust you. It's going to discourage you. And there's nothing you need to be discouraged about right now. You just need to lean in and do your gifts, right? You just need to lean in and do what you came here to do. And you're going to do it. And you're going to do a great job at it. But it won't make sense for most people until after it's done. Hermes is giving me this analogy of following a recipe, like you're baking a casserole, and the casserole looks like a giant mess, right? When you're mixing all these things, adding like soups and curries and slurries and all sorts of ingredients, like chopped and minced and diced and this and that. And then you bake it all together and it turns into something delicious. And it is what it was before, but now chemical processes happened that changed it, right? You're kind of like that. You're this hodgepodge of many different things, and you've become something that's really beautiful and uniquely you. And just like you never make the same dish exactly the same way twice, you're someone that can never be replicated exactly the same way twice. No matter when your blueprint hits the earth, it is always extremely unique. I'm getting it's always you, but it's always different. You have this very unique energy signature that glows, sort of this golden green color around you a lot of times. Um, it's very vibrant, and people can sense this. It makes some people uncomfortable and unsettles them. It makes some people excited. It makes some people feel greedy or jealous. Like your frequency interacts differently with different people, just depending on their chemical composition. When you're around people that resonate with you, it's very harmonious. Um, I'm getting that your aura may come across as like this sickly green color, almost like gold that's gone like rusty or like chlorine or something. It may give off that color to people who are not on the right frequency to perceive you. And that's not because you're unwell or you're sick, that's because they are. And so when you come into contact with something that's really healing, right? Sometimes you get more sick. Your energy is like that for people. Like you sometimes give people an energetic hangover actually when they come into contact with you. So I'm being given the example of like a cleanse. You know, when people take in really nutritious food, like they'll do these like, you know, fruit and vegetable cleanses or fiber cleanses or coconut water cleanses. Like I'm not talking about a super extreme one, even just they cut out their processed food and they start eating real whole food. You know, some people get tremendously sick after they do those. And the reason is not because the healthy food is bad for them. It's because their system is now waking up and becoming aware enough to say, oh my gosh, there's so much in here that's really gross and doesn't resonate. And it like starts releasing everything because it says, okay, it's safe now. I can let go of these things I was holding on to because I was afraid I wouldn't find nutrition. And so the junk that was taking up the receptacles that should have been filled with like good nutrition, that junk can be pushed away and now it can like be filled with the good nutrition, right? So your aura does this for people where it's very penetrating. It gets into people's auras even without you realizing it. And it causes like, again, this sickly green color to look like it's surrounding you, even though it isn't. And that's simply because people have this film over their eyes is what I'm getting. And so they perceive you through this film. And even though your energy is like burning away aspects of them that are not authentic, it's a deeply uncomfortable purging sensation that people can get around you sometimes. There are actually people collected that come into contact with you, and if they're really unwell, like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, they can become sick after coming into contact with you, even if you aren't sick. It's like your essence vibrates at such a high consistency that like you may be exactly what a person prayed for, and then after they meet you they're just so sick. They're just so like feeling energetically hungover, and that's because like you're basically forcefully readjusting and shifting their atoms um to be more harmonious. Because once these people heal from their encounter with you, their life will improve dramatically. Um, but it's also a matter of how willing these people are to adjust themselves after they've come into contact with you. Some people basically will project things onto you that are not you. They may call you like, bitch. They may call you, evil. They may call you self-centered or vain, dogmatic. They will basically project whatever their insecurities are right onto you. But that has nothing to do with you. And I'm not someone who believes that every time someone treats you badly, it's always a reflection of yourself. I actually don't believe in that. And the reason is because contrast, yes, can show you who you are by you becoming really aware of themes in others. Like, like why do I keep but like, why do I keep attracting narcissists? Well, I don't think that necessarily means you're a narcissist. I think that means you're vulnerable to narcissists. I think they recognize something in you, and that I don't think that that reflects that you're a narcissist. Does that make sense? Um, Narcissists generally repel each other, actually. It's funny. Yeah, so you'll still encounter narcissists even after you figure out how to get away from them. But like, yeah, true narcissists repel each other because you can't both be that conceited and stay together, right? So, like they want someone who they can feed off of. So yeah. Um, but anyway, yeah. So you're gonna have to be aware of this aura that you have collective. And again, I'm getting it's a sickly green color. Maybe people will talk about that color, or maybe they will describe a feeling that feels like that. Um, and if you hear those phrases or those words, or you see kind of references to those, just know that this is what that is referencing. And I'm also seeing 2222 on my timer right now, which I always associate with love and with guidance, and whether that is romantic love or friend love. So maybe that's a little message for someone here. Let me see what else. Man, we've gone down such a rabbit hole over here. Oh yeah, I mean, we were talking about love earlier. I don't know if there's anything really more to add to that message though. Let's see. There's a difference in vanity and humanity is what I'm getting. Like, there are people that think you're being really vain right now because you're self-centered. You're like centering yourself for the first time. You're decentering other people's values and opinions, and they're calling that being vain and being conceited. Um, but for you, collective, being self centered is actually the key, because for so long, you have been other centered. And when you center other people, you tend to lose sight of yourself. People tend to have an issue one way or another. They tend to either center themselves to the detriment of others, or they center others to the detriment of themselves. You guys are empaths. You are a collective of empaths, energy workers, healers, spiritualists, enthusiasts. You tend to naturally center other people. And the fact is that when you center other people, it causes you to lose sight of yourself, and it causes other people to think they're doing the right thing. When you reward bad behavior, it doesn't make it good. It kind of makes you bad. And that's just something that when you become aware of it, you can change it. But it's often a pattern that you can't really do anything to change it. If you don't realize it's there, what can you do, right? So a lot of you guys have fed into narcissistic behavior because you didn't realize it was bad. You thought you were pleasing them. But the point for a narcissist to learn their lesson is for them to be starved. In order for them to learn their lesson, they have to be starved. They have to be criticized. They have to be critiqued. And that's the only way that they learn their lessons, right? So the kindness that you can give narcissists is revealing to them exactly who they are, and by calling them out on that behavior or removing yourself from their presence. I'm actually guided to share like a very specific message. Yeah, I once knew someone in my life who I perceived to be quite narcissistic, and I saw a lot of the signs of it. And so I just sort of quietly removed myself from their presence, right? Um, and then I was in a situation where I had been removing myself from their presence for a while, not engaging with them, because the thing is, collective, sometimes we'd like to say, hey, we can no longer be friends because XYZ. However, this person was a person that liked to gossip. And I knew if I was honest and direct with them, which I prefer to be, it would become, they would turn it into the victim, villain, martyr complex, and they would make me a villain because they felt like they were victims. They felt like I took control away from them, right? So then I'd become a villain. They tell people that. And it doesn't really matter if they tell people that, right? But I just didn't want to deal with it at the time because I was busy. And I was like, this is not what I need at the moment. So I'm just going to become even busier, especially for this person, and we'll just fall away. It's very rare that I do it. I only really intentionally do that with people who it becomes more toxic when you try and explain it to them, because people often don't understand. If they're doing this certain behavior, they often won't understand what you're even talking about if you call it out. Like I had gently brought up several of these points at different times, in gentle ways, and the person didn't really understand like that there was anything wrong with it, and they didn't understand like, you know, um, and they just kind of continued the behavior. So anyway, so I removed myself from this person, and it was funny because I was in this other friend group, and then um, very interesting thing happened where a person in that friend group suddenly, out of nowhere, invited that specific person to the friend group. And it was like very shocking for me because these were two circles that never mingled, like in that way. The sort of hangout thing that I went to never overlapped, even though these, like, the person who invited that other person, like, they knew each other, right? But anyway, so it was this interesting like confirmation to me from the universe that I was like, oh, I should actually leave this group. So I act because I realized like I wasn't going to police like that, but that other person had already been invited. I was not going to like be the person who said, no, I don't want them here, right? So I was like, okay, that's no problem. I'll just leave this group. Um and it was just like this really interesting thing because I'd been thinking about leaving since I was busy, but that like cinched it for me. So collective, like, you're a group of people that you can clock narcissistic behavior, right? Like, you can clock behavior even before it becomes rampant. Um, and you'll just quietly remove yourself from situations. And people may not understand why you do this. There are some times where you're removing yourself from situations deliberately, sometimes it's accidentally, but um, excuse me, trust that you're always divinely aligned with where you need to be. So if you keep having trouble like meeting up with a specific group or specific people, just kind of let those people fall out of your life. Because there's something about them that's not a good match for you. And your body's trying to tell you that. Like if you get sick around the time you're supposed to see them, or if an accident or emergency comes up around the time you're supposed to see them, like start paying attention to those things. Again, you're on like new game plus mode right now. You don't need to be living your life trying to like learn these lessons. When you clock the lesson, just respect it and walk away, right? Just be like, okay, cool, I understand, and leave. Because there are so many people that want to meet you, collective. There's so many people that will love you and enjoy spending time with you. All you need to do is just be available to meet them. And you can't do that if your time is being taken up by people who drain you. Um, yeah. Let's see what else here. Okay, it was really interesting. I paused it for just a moment to like breathe. And on my timer, it said 9.99, and it's also October the 9th. So it feels like you're definitely ending the cycle of something. I feel like you're ending a cycle of people pleasing. This is something you've been working on for a while, but now it's really starting to come into place for you that like you don't need to please others. And you're finally pleasing yourself. You're finally using that people pleasing to like make yourself happy. And you're a lot happier because of it, which I am stoked for you for that. Yeah. I think that's the last message for today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. It was nice to connect with you, collective, as always. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.